Dutcher is off this week. In place of his weekly weather forecast, we talked Thursday morning with Martha Shulski, Nebraska State Climatologist and the director of the recently established Nebraska State Climate Office. Martha, before we look ahead, let's look back at the winter of 15 into 16. What did we experience here in Nebraska?
Sure, we had a warmer and wetter winter overall. We were in the top 10 warmest as well as the top 10 wettest in terms of precipitation conditions. And in fact, the U.S. as a whole, it was the warmest on record for the U.S.
What did March seem like here in Nebraska?
So March was warmer than normal. We were running about 5 degrees above average. That's not close to the record, which is 2012. That was 15 degrees above average. But we were actually a bit drier than normal for precipitation conditions.
Update me on the snowpack that we've seen to the west and what that means for stream flows.
Right, so the snowpack conditions in both Wyoming and Colorado are looking pretty good for us. So they're just below normal to just above normal conditions. Stream flow is looking pretty good across the state, a bit above normal for eastern Nebraska and then below normal for the southwestern part of the state.
Is there a spring flooding risk? Do we know yet? Is it too early to determine if that's going to be a problem in Nebraska?
Yeah, good question. We've gotten some precipitation lately so that the stream flow will probably, they'll get a bump in conditions because of that. Soil moisture conditions certainly play a factor in that, and we are looking pretty good in terms of soil moisture. The surface is beginning to dry out just a little bit, but that probably remains to be seen in terms of flood risk going forward.
Yeah, let's go a little bit more on soil conditions as we start to enter the planting season.
Sure. So if you look at soil temperatures at the 4-inch depth, so we're running in the low to mid 50s in southeastern Nebraska and then the low 40s in the Panhandle part of the state. So temperatures are really marching up there.
What's the drought outlook for Nebraska?
For drought conditions, we're looking pretty good. So the drought outlook just came out today, in fact, and so there's no dryness or drought conditions for the state. But looking ahead, there are some pockets of central Nebraska that we do need to be looking at just in terms of long-term precipitation totals and some slight deficits in pockets. But overall, we're looking pretty good.
All right, what's the immediate forecast next week or two across the state?
Right, so we'll probably see a warm up, which may be welcome for some people. We're seeing a green up of conditions and some leaves starting to bud out. So we're looking like an increased chance for warmer than normal conditions going in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
And farther out into the growing season?
So farther out, we're currently in an El Nino pattern right now, which is breaking down. So if we look at into summer conditions, midsummer and late summer, we'll probably have an increased chance of warmer than normal conditions as we transition toward a neutral or even La Nina conditions.
And precipitation?
In precipitation, there's a bit of uncertainty at this point. Seasonal forecasts are not an easy thing to do, so so I'd be hard pressed to put out a specific indication this early on.